Put the money in the bag. Hang on. In 9 hours and 37 minutes, I'll have a gun printed and I can actually threaten you. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Layer by Layer. Today I'm going to talk about a very popular topic today, and it involves 3D printing and weapons, specifically guns. So I have some things I've printed today to show you. 2 of these cool pistols and an AR-15 with the barrel broke. So let's get started. So let's talk about this gun. This is an AR-15 standard issue M4 style. This is basically what the military, the US military, gives their soldiers. This was there, and then I picked it up and I broke it. So this gun cannot be 3D printed, and I'll tell you why. The barrel, obviously, not strong enough, made out of plastic. No way could it handle the pressure of a bullet going off. The heat sink / hand grip would get way too hot, it would melt. Magazine probably could print that. Hand grip totally could print that. Buttstock, yeah, probably. The lower, which is what the ATF considers the gun. The lower receiver is where the serial number is to the government. This lower receiver, this piece of metal right here, is the gun. The upper receiver, the hand grip, the barrel, the sights, the buttstock, the hand grip, magazine, all that stuff can be purchased online without any like certification. I'm not even 21 and I could go and buy all this crap online, but I could not get the lower receiver without having a license. And so that brings to the fact that, well, since this bottom part is the gun, why don't we just make this bottom part? And with 3D printing, that's gotten really popular in the news lately. And people act like it's a brand new thing. People have been creating their own lower receivers for years. People sell what's called an 80% lower. And this company mails you a hunk of aluminum that's pretty much cut out exactly like this, except for there's no hole through the top for the trigger. And it comes with a jig, and you just cut it out yourself, and then you have a 100% AR-15 lower. And it doesn't have a serial number. It's completely untraceable by the government. And I mean, it's that easy. No one's breaking the law by sending you a piece of aluminum. It's not until after you cut out that hole that you've made a firearm, technically speaking. And so a guy by the name of Cody Wilson has a company called Defense Distributed, and they have been developing an AR-15 lower that is 3D printable. And everyone's freaking out like, oh my God, you can make guns, and no, you can't. Because this AR-15 lower, the tolerances on a gun are so unbelievable, like unbelievably tight. Like there's so many working components that go into making a firearm work that it's not possible to create a lower on a desktop FDM printer. And I mean, if you want to go the extra mile, yes, you could print out like 50, 60, 70 copies of this and tweak the scaling until you get it just right. Yes, you could spend $100,000 to get an Objet or a Stratus printer and print it out of much stronger materials than plastic. But at that point, you might as well just go to the black market and buy yourself one of these. Buy a pistol. I mean, it's just, there's so many firearms with the serial number scratched off or acid washed. Like, there's so many other alternatives than 3D printing a lower. And, you know, say you get all the tolerances right. This is made out of plastic, people. Like, I don't know about you, but I would not trust an explosion going off this close to my face. Like, yeah, I know this is smaller, so like a real AR would be like there, but still, I don't want this thing blowing up in my face. And I'll tell you right now, the pressure on the AR-15 lower isn't that big where the magazine goes. The trigger, no. Hand grip, no. But this buffer tube, which is this tube that goes back here, there's a clip right here that is attached to the lower that holds this, that this screws into. And if you watch videos, that breaks every time. You get a couple rounds off, and the force of the bullet recoil slamming this buffer tube back, compressing the piston, and then it's sliding back forward and loading the next round is just too much for this plastic, and it cracks off. And I mean, it's not feasible. It's not feasible. You should not be worried about someone 3D printing a gun, because it's not, there's so many other easier ways. If you really wanted to get an untraceable gun, you would get an 80% lower, or you just go to the black market. Like, it's not, people are freaking out like, oh, anyone can just make their own gun. I mean, you just can't. In the grand scheme of things, you just can't, and it's not worth it. Like I said, this barrel is not strong enough. You can't, I mean, it's just none of the things on this gun that are required for the gun to function are 3D printable. The trigger, I had a trigger here. I broke it. It broke just because, you know, it's weak. The hand grip totally could be printed. Buttstock totally could be printed. Magazine, maybe. The tolerances are really tight in that. Sights, yeah, this one might melt just from the heat, but none of those things, besides the magazine obviously, are required for the gun to work, and the trigger. So the things that actually make this gun work need to be strong and made out of metal, or else they'll just break or melt under the heat. And that's the moral of the story, is that you just can't do it. Whether you get the tolerances down to the, you know, micron and everything fits, it'll fire off once or twice and you're done. And the gun may malfunction and just stop, or you might blow your face off. And that's why I don't think you guys should be worried about it, because one, you'll need a criminal that has a fair bit of knowledge in technology, and it's just, there's so many other more practical, easier ways to get a firearm that's untraceable. So other than that, yeah, that's my spiel on it. I wanted to let you guys know there's nothing to worry about. The media has beat this thing to death over all this scared and fear tactics and all that. Gun control, I think, is a alright thing. People have plenty of different views on it, but I feel like, you know, if you want a deadly weapon, people should know who you are and where you are, especially the government. I'm not saying, you know, I'm saying we should totally be able to have guns, but people should know who has a gun and who's allowed to and who doesn't. But other than that, can't 3D print a gun. Don't worry about it. Let's talk about these prints for fun. So this part, this forward is one piece. The hand grip is one piece. This middle part without the magazine and the grip was one piece. Buttstock was one piece. Hand grip and the magazine actually comes out, which is really cool. That was all one piece. Pretty happy with this. I think this comes out. There we go. So yeah, you can see the joint there. But yeah, I'm very happy with this model. It's very cool. I weathered it a little bit. I was trying some weathering techniques, as you can see. This is a 1911 solid piece. This slide doesn't go back. Nothing works on this thing. A hammer doesn't work. It printed like this with support underneath here. This Desert Eagle is also one of my favorites. This printed in 2 halves on the build plate, and then they were flattened and glued together. And yeah, I'm printing a Glock right now for an Etsy customer. By the way, I'll have a video about my whole Etsy store and all that stuff. You can get some really cool stuff on there for super cheap. Like, I barely sell it for more than it costs me, but the shipping is really the expensive part. I can't do anything about that. But yeah, I just want to make a quick video about this. I know I rambled a little bit, but I feel like it's important that you know the full story. And just to recap, can't 3D print a gun for 2 main reasons. 1, big one, it's not strong enough. 2, the tight tolerances are just not possible with a 3D printer. It's not accurate enough, at least yet. And if you do solve the accuracy problem with getting a Stratus or an Object, one of those printers that's super accurate and prints out of powder, it's still not strong enough, and it would blow up in your face. And furthermore, if you get an Object or a Stratus, those printers are $100,000. Like, if you're about to drop that much money, you might as well. I don't know why you need a gun in the first place if you had that much money. And If you needed a gun, you would go to the black market or your local shady dealer. Oh, and it just dropped and it broke. My point is made. You can't print anything strong enough. See you later.